Did she find them? Is she Detective Pikachu here? What is going on? Like, how is she finding the breadcrumbs around? Is she from CIA, the CSI, whatever, crime
Yeah.
investigation? How is she finding them?
We
I
should
am
have.
mad. I'm fired up, people. That is so stupid.
Oh my God, Sterling! Woo! He is fired up,
God
Sterling. He is
damn.
fired
With
up.
your best friends Trey, Sterling, and Matt, the film Schmucks.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is the Film Schmucks here. It's your boy Bloopski. You can call me Matt Pulaski if you'd like to. We got Trey, the Cray Train Johnson, otherwise known as Jefe Blanca. We got Grimace. You guys ever seen Mickey D's McDonald's? We got Grimace down here. Just kidding. We got a guy. He's looking stylish. He's looking fresh. I feel like I'm on the set of a new J.J. Abrams movie. We got Sterling, Stir Fry, Reigns at the bottom. Thanks for all the new subscribers, guys. We appreciate it. We're hitting 15. We're trying to get to 20 by the end of the month. So, hey, if you got a friend, if they like movies, if they want to talk about how much my opinion on Parasite sucks, then get them down to the comment section, okay? We did see your comments. Nostalgia is real. I'm looking at you. I saw the comment. I know you're one of our first subscribers. I'm not letting it go. Trey, you got anything to say?
I mean, yeah, it's great. I love it. I love watching movies and love talking about them. And I think we're gonna have some fun,
Yes.
especially tonight. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight.
Sterling, you know how it goes. You picked the movie, so why don't you start it off fresh?
Oh man. Okay. Well, uh, I think the fans know that I'm usually the one that picks the dark experimental films, and I get it, and not everyone likes them, including Trey. And Sometimes though, I like movies that just they're not like philosophically deep, but they're just good, solid, heartwarming movies, and this is one of them. And without going into too much detail, this is just a really, really sweet movie that gets pretty emotional at times. But to me, it's just such a heartwarming, just good all around wholesome movie that I think anyone can enjoy. So that's kind of my overall thoughts. But
I
I'm curious what you guys think.
I fully I fully agree. I would say the same thing. I was sitting there, I'm like, after Clockwork Orange, I think Sterling redeemed himself on this one because no, I actually like over time we have to do a Clockwork Orange part 2 because I think I like it now. But anyway, Peanut Butter Falcon. I gotta say, the trailer was a great representation of the movie. I saw the trailer, I'm like, this looks fun. It looks heartwarming. I don't exactly know what the plot is, other than like Shia LaBeouf and this mentally challenged guy are going on some journey, and I found it to be heartwarming. I mean, I got that same kind of feeling that I got watching One Cut of the Dead, which was like, man, this was just like a nice, heartwarming film where I really enjoyed it. I didn't really know what the plot was going to be, and it ended up being really interesting. I think the acting was great. We can get into it, but I will give it, a big thumbs up from me because I ended up really enjoying it. I started basically crying at one point during the movie. I'll just say it, so we can get into that later. But
Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that later, and I'll get into my notes. I wrote the most amount of notes on my mail.
oh my god,
I wrote a lot of notes in this movie, and I'm glad I'm last because I'm probably going to be the most negative of the three of us. Shocking. Not Matt. It's not Matt. I overall thoughts. I mean, I think I did enjoy it. It had like a real comeback story, I guess. I'm not early, but I guess with Shia LaBeouf's character, he had a little kind of a comeback near the end. I think actually progression through the movie, kind of a character based movie. It got really sappy. Some ridiculous stuff happened in the movie I did not like because of how stupidly ridiculous they were. We'll get into those. Overall enjoyable. I thought the ending was gonna suck for a couple seconds. and they finally, showed him with a black eye, and I'm like, thank God, good, decent ending. But overall thoughts, it was okay. I thought it was gonna be a lot better, a lot more kind of director like I thought the direction was gonna be better. I think they just it felt like it dragged a little bit at times.
Okay.
But I will get into it. We can just dive in. Oh my gosh. I was gonna make a joke saying the guys over on the Promo Nation channel do it better, with the promos. But I wrote that down. Check the Promo Nation out when you can. Yeah, let's jump in. I mean,
Wait,
yeah,
one
why
sec.
is the
You
kid?
go ahead and get into it real quick. I just gotta grab my notes. They're on the couch. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. So why the hell is the kid in an old person's home? I know they kind of talk about it. I think that was one of the not the most ridiculous thing that happened in the movie. Like happenstance kind of thing. I have two things that happen that are so crazy. But yeah, why is he in an old person home? That's ridiculous. When would that ever happen? Let's talk about it. Come on.
That's a good point. I actually did cross my mind as soon as they're like, look, the state needed to put you somewhere. You ended up here. And it kind of felt like, well, wait, I mean, look, I suspended my disbelief. So I just was like, okay, whatever. He's in an old person's home. It's a funny concept, I got to say. Although, if you're going to do something funny, because here's the thing. They could have, I hate that you're making me nitpick this because I like this movie a lot. But if you're,
Yes.
they could have just put him in a home for mentally handicapped people, right? There's actual places that do that. So if you're gonna put,
there's older,
go ahead.
There's older handicapped people.
That's
You could, if you wanted to have an old person to do an escape, which was funny, using the old ladies in an escape.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, so
driving her.
Here's the thing. I'm okay with the idea that like, hey, he's in a old person's home for some reason. They didn't really. I mean, what was it like? Maybe 10 minutes of the movie was there. It was a very quick opening, so it was a little bit like, okay, they didn't really utilize the fact that it was an old person's, except for his roommate. I thought, honestly, I was already getting heartwarmed when, I can't remember his roommate's name, Glenn or something like that. But when he tied the bars and he's sitting there and he's like, you're invited to my birthday party and stuff, that was pretty touching. But I'm with you.
Yeah.
I wonder if that actually is a thing that's ever happened. Hey, we don't, so that's, you don't have a family. No one can take care of you. So we'll just put you some other state-run organization, old person's home. Interesting.
Yeah, I just kind of went with it. It didn't really like bother me.
Oh
too
my
much.
God.
I'm being serious. I've never heard anything like that happen, but
Okay.
I feel like
He's wrong.
I feel like something could have happened like that for them to put in the movie. So
I will say this in defense of what Sterling's saying. I agree with Sterling. You're right. It is a little bit of like, does that actually happen? But it didn't like slow the movie down or ruin the movie, or it didn't break the movie at all for me. It was like, okay, I accepted it pretty easily that he was just in an old person's home.
Well, I think too the fact that he was 22, I think that was kind of a weird kind of gray area a little bit as far as, well, he can't be in the foster system because he's probably too old for the foster system.
Right.
But he's not old enough to be in a retirement home. Or sorry, not that. He's not like, I don't know how to say it, but maybe there wasn't like any kind of funding for like a specialized care home for mentally handicapped people. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I suspended my disbelief for that. So
Wasn't he? Didn't they say he's 14?
no, he's 22.
No, they said 22.
I heard them say 14 a couple times. I don't know when they said 22.
They never said 14. What are you talking about?
I was gonna say this later, but I think this is a prequel to the 50 Shades of Grey, because this bitch, she was real sweet, gets a little naughty in her sequels, but Dakota Johnson,
that is
whatever
the
her
girl
name is.
from 50 Shades of Grey. I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah, this is before.
Woo!
This one she was a sweetheart.
Yeah, this is before she went down a wrong road.
Yeah, bad boy Shia LaBeouf turned her naughty.
Oh my gosh, I guess so, dude. Woo! They took him out with a tire iron, and she goes and meets, Christian Grey over there in the fucking business world. Woo!
So when she comes and finds him, I might as well say now, ridiculous. Oh, fucking ridiculous. Unbelievable. She finds the blind guy, and then she finds them. Like I was so pissed at that point. In that conversation she has with him, I think she says he's 14-year-old kid or 14. I'm like 14. So that's where I heard it. That scene. So anybody correct me in the comments because that's what I heard. And then at that point, I'm like, this is crazy. He's 14. Whatever. But
I just want to say I didn't hear 14. And here's my only thing to clarify that I don't think it said 14. I almost always watch movies with subtitles on.
Okay.
And because of that, I end up reading almost all of the dialogue, and I do not remember 14.
Okay, that's fine.
I could see maybe they said something that sounded like it, or maybe they did say it, or
maybe
something,
that was
and I
it.
missed it.
Maybe
I'm
that
open
was
to it.
So let's go beyond this. Let's go to the heart of this.
Let's get into
this is not a nitpick for me. You can add to your nitpick. How did she find them? Is she Detective Pikachu here? What is going on? Like, how is she find the breadcrumbs around? Is she from CIA, the CSI, whatever crime investigation? Yeah. How is she finding them? I'm mad. I'm fired up, people. That is so stupid.
Oh my God, Sterling! Woo! He is fired up, Sterling. Damn. He is fired up.
So stupid.
Did you?
That's not the dumbest thing about that. We'll talk about that next.
Could you, Matt? I would like to see the girl. Like you can see her like lean down and she sees some like, weird looking footprints.
BDSM?
No.
Oh.
No, you sick. No, I was gonna say she leans down. She leans down and like dips her finger in something. Peanut butter. Like. No, look, you're already. First of all, I want to say that I'm very glad that you're on this movie because I think it'll take the heat off of me from last week. But also, you are already ruining this movie for me because you brought up two things that I did not think of at all. Because I didn't think of the fact I just went with everything in this movie. I was like, okay, whatever. She found them. She peanut butter. She found some tidy whities in the jungle. I don't know, but she found them.
Listen. This is what I can see.
Let Matt finish. Keep that thought. I want to hear him.
I don't have anything else. Okay. That was it. Yeah.
Here's the thing. It probably is a testament to the movie's heart. The fact that it's so heartwarming that even things like that I can look past. And honestly,
I can't.
I know, but a lot of things you're complaining about, as far as conveniences, there's so many of them in so many other movies.
They didn't have to do it. Yeah. They didn't have to do it like that.
Well,
look,
she knew where he was going though.
Like, yeah, but to find the right spot on the coastline. Oh yeah, the coastline's only 7 miles. She's gonna be able to find him. Get out of here. And let's skip this too, because fans, you're gonna agree with me. I know. Why the hell did Shia LaBeouf's character? Okay, I know why he gets out of the truck because there's roadblocks. Cool. Why did he? He's like, I forgot something, and he goes back and gets the kid. Why? Like, to have a fall guy? That did not make any sense whatsoever. He could have just gone the road and gone the same path he was going without the kid. That's just another plot armor.
There's a good point. Well, look. Wait, what did he forget? Did he actually forget something?
No, he didn't. He just went back for the kid.
Well, maybe he didn't know what to do, so he went back, and then they were picking on them. Hey, jump in the water. He doesn't know how to swim.
But when he punched that kid, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Forget the faults of that. I was going to say, when he goes back and he just punches that kid in the face, me and Christy, high-fived. We were like, that's hilarious. I love it when kids get beat up in movies. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. I love it.
Do you remember, there's a scene in, I hate to detract from the movie too much, but there's a scene, did you guys see Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. When
I love that movie.
There's a scene in it where there's this really annoying kid, and when the parents leave the room, there's a point where the kid's being really annoying, and Robert Downey Jr. just punches him in the stomach. I love that so much. I just love it when adults like beat up kids in movies. Cut that. That's not going to fly on YouTube.
No, they'll love it.
Before we go more into the negatives, I just wanted to.
Let's take a break from the negative. You started. You went in. He came in swinging. Let's take a break. Let's talk about the the emotional moments for a second.
I did say that when he punched the kid, I was cheering, and we did talk about the sequels of this, the 50 Shades of Grey, BDSM. I thought you were gonna say that earlier. Like, she talks BDSM stuff in this, and she got into it. But anyway.
Oh my god.
Okay,
let's get on this one. What the?
All right.
I thought I was last week.
The right hand man to the bad guy. Oh my god! You can hit him with a shovel. You can hit him with a shovel, and his IQ would stay the same. Like, that's how dumb he was.
Hey,
damn!
I feel like you could play a TikTok video and throw it, and he'd run after it. You know what I mean?
What? Oh
I feel
my
like
god!
You could throw a Puddle of Mud album into the forest, and he'd just run after it. You can get him out of the way.
Yeah.
Sterling, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sterling, please counteract this fool and tell me some heartwarming things.
You believe me on some of this stuff, Matt.
I know. I'm trying to make it interesting.
No, but here's the thing. Like, I'm not saying that there's not things to nitpick or some things that are convenient. It's just kind of weird that you're so passionate about these little nitpicks compared to other movies that you like. That I guarantee have conveniences as well.
I just said earlier that one of them wasn't a nitpick. How about Detective frickin' Rogers here finding them with peanut butter residue on the ground, like Matt said?
I know.
So stupid.
What I'm saying is that yes, those are conveniences, but it is to move the plot along. So you either go with it. Or
they didn't need that.
Okay.
That's how verses right now. That's how verses right now. They did not need her to find them that way. They could have gotten to the guy, and she pulls up, she'd been there for a couple days waiting for them to show up, and they show up, and then they have a little argument. They walk away and have that good sentimental moment we're going to talk about later. And I loved, but they did not need it to push the story forward.
That's That's still a convenience.
Hey.
No.
Hey, let's all calm down, drink your milk, okay? We're gonna
hey, full circle, baby. Full circle, baby. Clockwork Orange, baby.
I don't have anything. I feel like it. What am I, half a Momo over here? I don't got anything to drink.
I'm at the milk bar, baby.
What was the joke that he said in Clockwork Orange when he says something to her? I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't know.
Let's get okay. I'm gonna like Sterling said on the last episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with both of you a little bit here. These nitpicks are fun to talk about. I think they're worth talking, even when they're not a nitpick. Like, why did he go back for the guy? How did she find him? That's a good point. However, I think that because of the nature of this movie, I don't think it was actually necessary to show, because they could have easily added some details of this is how she found them easy. I didn't think it was necessary to do it because that wasn't, it's not a detective movie. I think the point is the relationship between these characters. So I kind of agree with you both. I actually, you are pointing out some things. I think the more glaring thing isn't how she found them, because movies do that all the time, as Sterling said. Yeah. Not that that's an excuse. Yeah. You are right, because I didn't think of, because when he got out of the truck, he's like, I forgot some. Oh, yeah. Highway 180, huh? Yeah, where'd you get your dog from? He gets out of the car. I thought, he's gonna use the handicapped kid for some reason to do with the robot. I literally was like, there must be some reason. I forgot about it until you just mentioned it. I'm like, there was no reason. Why did he just go?
There was no reason.
Yeah, why did he just pick that kid up? Maybe he felt bad for him. I mean, if I had to defend it, I would say he just went back because he needed to go a different direction. And then he saw the kid getting bullied, helped him out, and now he's like, crap, this kid's got Down syndrome. He's in the middle of nowhere. Maybe he felt a little sympathy.
But he wouldn't walk right to the water. He would have, whatever. Sterling defended. Your best. Do your best.
This is what I meant in my original opening statement. there are movies like this that I enjoy that not everything has to be logically followed. Not everything has to be. Not every I has to be dotted. Not every T has to be crossed.
I'm not saying that.
I know. I'm just saying that when characters are done so well, and the relationships between the characters are done so well, to me that trumps any kind of potential logic leap, at some points.
Mhm.
So
I don't think they did Shia LaBeouf's character well until they start training, and then he has the moment with they got in the boat, and yeah, it took like 20 minutes of him. I thought he was pretty lame. He was this hardened this criminal now because he killed his daddy or brother or whatever. Like he's this bad guy now. Then he gets caught, and like they rush that. They rush that real quick. They say you're stealing their crab. Do they have pictures? They didn't say that. Like they don't no evidence. You just think it's him because he's a bad guy now because he got drunk one night. Like I don't know. Just like you said, just to push the story along. There was just a lot of those moments, and I do have a lot of positive things here, Sterling. So hold your horses, okay? Just hold your tidy whities. We'll get to them.
I want to say one more thing on the topic, and then I think we can move to let's start getting through the movie a little more. But I was gonna say, I think if it's you watch a movie like Memento, I think in a movie like Memento, which we watched early review, go check it out. But you did have to cross the T's and dot the I's because the movie had to make logical sense. That was the whole point of the movie, was the story. This is a movie where the point is the relationship between the characters. So it's easier to be forgiving is what I'd say. Anyway, I see both your points is what I'm saying. I think there's fair ground to both of what you're saying. So
let's get my last negative, and I think I said the right-hand man, the tattoo guy.
Motherfucker's got another one.
I said I wrote down he's more mentally challenged than the main character who we find out Zach. He is so much dumber than Zach. But my last big one. Well, I wrote that. I said he had more Down syndrome traits than Zach. My goodness, but stop laughing. I'm trying to find my thoughts here.
Sorry, go ahead.
It goes along the lines as okay. She's a smart gal, right? She's cute. She has an education. She finds him. Whatever. Push the story forward. I know I got fired up earlier. I'm not gonna get ass fired up here, but I could. But I don't want to get yelling again. But it's worse than that. I said, how the did those idiots find them? Are you kidding me? They find the fire pit? Are you kidding me? At that point, I was so pissed off. Even though I wasn't really that pissed off. Really, Sterling fires me up. When he tries to go against what I say, he gets me right. He ups me up a notch or 2 to 10. Mm-hmm. This right here was worse. I don't care, Sterling. This was worse. This was worse than her finding them. Are you kidding? At that point, I was like, this is by far they from this being a pretty good film. It's an okay film. It's good. Like I can't go away from that. That was so ridiculous. They could have just pushed it to the end when their buddy, who was an even bigger idiot, the Afro guy, who was at the wrestling match. Can you guys? This is my last negative. Okay, I have a lot of positive, more positive than negative. Defend Sterling, not you, Matt. You're gonna agree with me. I know. Thanks, fans. Sterling, defend them finding the fire pit, please. I beg you. Let me drink my milk.
I mean, the only thing I can say is that they were following like up the coast, which is way.
Oh my god!
I'm just saying, like.
What else? Move on because I'm done with that. Even nice try. I'm done with you now. With defending
it's called a movie. It's called a plot. There's going to be plot armor. There's going to be
that's a plot hole. It's ridiculous.
As Trey said, I agree with him. Let's move on. Now, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, I do. I mean, I also thought like, I actually think this in any movie where this sort of thing happens, which is like, it's a big world. Like, how are you, however, the defense that the movie has is the fact that they're pretty vague on how far they're traveling. I mean, they kind of say we don't exactly know where they start from. We know where they're going. So we don't know how far they're traveling and how normal the routes would be. We know that this guy is a boating guy, and the path that he knows might be the same as the other people who are also boat people. They might, if they were going down the coast, they might take the same kind of route. I'm not completely defending the movie, but I'm just saying they left it vague enough that you can fill in the gaps as to how the people found if you really want to. Yeah. You can also say it's ridiculous. I think you can do both. However, as we said before, I think that the focus of the movie is enough to where you're not too concerned about how they found them.
Thank God this movie went upwards after this, because I got one thing to say. What's the number one rule, baby? Party. I laughed my ass off when he said that. That was a great line.
That was awesome.
He couldn't even get mad at the movie.
Let's. I actually have a couple of negatives of my own. No. I'm gonna save. Listen. I'm gonna save it for Matt's nitpicks at the end because they really are nitpicks. Let's get into the positives. Sterling, go ahead.
Can I address one thing? So
the party one, I love that party line. That was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, the guy who played Zach, who's actually named Zach, he did a great job.
He was the best actor in the whole movie, honestly.
He actually did do a great job, yeah. And, and Shia LaBeouf actually did really good too. I mean, I'll say.
I mean, near the end, yeah, the first half, though, yeah.
Well, we'll get more into it, but I just wanted to say, like, as far as like logical stuff, like you're right, Trey. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that for most movies, there are so many. Like, if you think about it long enough, any movie you could think of has some kind of logical leap. It's a story. It's a story being told. It's not the real world. So anyway, that's all I'm trying to say. So we'll go into more positives.
Okay.
Let's. I want to get right into it from the start. The opening of the movie is a great little opening where everything leading up to. I'm thinking I can't remember now because from the start of the movie, but I do remember before it shows the title screen. Oh, okay, now I'm remembering. Just that whole little gag where he draws the picture and he just starts booking it out the door and they tackle him and then we just get the title.
Yeah, that was great.
That was just a great setup to the movie. I thought that was a good little opening. I thought it was great. I loved him and the guy, the old man who's like, get out there, live your dreams. All of it, it was, I'll say this, it was immediately charming. The movie was immediately like, okay, I like Zach. I'm ready to follow Zach wherever he's going. The movie does a great job of making Zach like instantly likable, and you're already rooting for him. Oh God, now I'm sounding like a New York Times review or something. But I'm rooting for Zach. 2 thumbs way up. But yeah, I just got to say immediately I had a smile on my face at the very opening of the movie, which was a good precedent to set. I felt like.
I agree with you. He immediately becomes likable, and not just him. I really like the relationship a lot between Zach and Tyler in the movie a lot. I mean, obviously it develops more as you get into the movie, but just that friendship, and I love the line that the old man uses near the beginning. When he's like, friends are the family that you choose. I just think that's such a good.
That was a good line, yeah.
Good, insightful line.
I want to say, I was looking at my notes here. I like the, a lot of the side characters that we see in the movie. I don't know if side characters is the right word. Some of the they only had a few lines, but they did a good job on casting, I feel like, overall. Not just the main actors, but at the very beginning, the guy that Tyler's working for, I think his name was Winky. He calls him Winky or something like that. that guy felt like such a genuine, like, Southern guy. And the way he talked to him, there's something about it where I'm like, this character's already interesting. And then the shopkeeper that he talks to at the gas station was also this kind of likable, fun character.
Yeah.
And same thing with, I mean, conceptually, even the whole wrestling thing, we can get to the wrestling later, but that was an aspect of the movie that I didn't know, from the trailer and stuff. I didn't know even what Peanut Butter Falcon was going to be. And they actually, watching the trailer, I didn't know that it was going to be, hey, they're going to go try to wrestle. And then by the end of the movie, wrestling is actually a big part of the movie. That pleasantly surprised me because I thought there was some interesting stuff there.
Yeah, I think especially I really like the character, that like blind guy who was
Jasper. Yeah.
Jasper.
That guy was great. That guy was great.
He was hilarious.
You got him.
His line when he's in the water and he's like some are sheep and some are wolves. I may be blind, but I can smell the difference or whatever. I was like, this is great. Like, this guy's just a great character. I was sitting there just smiling. I'm like, this guy's hilarious. He just felt like a Baptist preacher or something.
And he gets aggressive with people, but then when he finds out that they're Jesus followers, he lets his guard down.
Yeah, all of a sudden he puts the gun down. When he shoots at them, that was a great scene. I also have to say on the and maybe I'm being hoity-toity-doity here, but I actually thought there was something interesting about the line I loved it when he shoots at them. He's like, "Are you God-fearing?" And they're like, "Yep, yes," like really quickly. But whenever he asks the girl, "Are you God-fearing?" and she says, "Sometimes." I was like, that's like the most genuine answer. I feel like that's like a good blanket answer for everybody. Just the way she said sometimes. I'm like, that's a funny thing. And the fact that he accepted that, he's like, good. Great character.
I wanted to mention, I actually wrote one thing down about this movie, and I never do that. I wrote the fact that there's some really good wide shots in this movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, like the first one I can think of is when Zach is following Tyler in the ocean. And there's just that big wide shot where they're kind of looking at each other. And then the shot over the cornfield was really cool.
Yeah,
and then the shot
down stuff was cool.
The shot where they're swimming in the river and the boat's about to hit them, or hit Zach. Thought that was really cool too. So I think the cinematography.
He comes over, he's like, "All right, you can get up." Or whatever. He says, "Good job."
Yeah. By the way,
pat him on the shoulder.
The scene where, the movie, you're like, okay, I'm along for the adventure. Like I said, it's charming from the beginning. You're interested in what's going on. The scene that really sold me on Tyler's character, where I started getting a feeling of who this guy is a little bit, was when they're first walking in the cornfield, and he keeps saying Tyler, and he just has that great little monologue where he gets pissed off and he just turns around and he tells that whole thing about the hornet's nest. I think that was great acting, and also it made me get like whenever he said like, "I'm a guy with Down syndrome," and you can see this thing where Tyler's pissed off but he knows that he can't he's like, okay, I like, even just the way he acts in like a couple of seconds. I mean, that was good acting. And I think to me, that was when I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like Tyler. And I also liked that he was not afraid to give Zach shit. And I actually think that's a running theme in the movie. I think that you could kind of see this interesting balance between him and the girl. I can't remember her name. Eleanor. Eleanor and Tyler actually have this very interesting thing where he's probably almost dangerous, like a little too far, being like, "Hey, Zach's a grown man, he's fine." And she's obviously a little too protective. And I think that relationship was great because you can kind of see the dynamic. And we can get into it later, but that scene in the cornfield was such a great scene. That was when I started really getting invested in the character.
Oh yeah, that was when Shia was really bringing out his chops. I was really impressed. Like I got into it. That's when I kind of got into it a little bit.
Me too, yeah.
It's just kind of like I said, a slower kind of beginning. I mean, not really slow, but kind of like, where is this story going? And I love the they go along with the story of them becoming friends. Like they built it from the ground up. And I know I don't think they don't just go straight through like 5-10 minute scene of them training and with like music in the background. They do like a couple of those scenes. But I love all those scenes of them. They have a conversation when they're eating the watermelon, and then they make it into a helmet, and they're doing like all those scenes, and then the fire pit where they come up with a name, like. Well, I think there's some emotional moment too when they're talking about each other's past, or talking about talking.
In the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
like
are
great
you a good guy
scenes,
or a bad guy? That was one of the first scenes that got me. My eyes were going a little bit because I was like, something about when Zach is telling Tyler that he's a good guy. I mean, that just hit me a little bit. I was like, well, I don't want to interrupt if you want to keep going.
Well, I just want to and then the girl comes, and that was a cringy scene to me, because I'm because I'm all on Zach and Shia's side on that, and I'm like,
yeah,
get out of here, you little, you know what? Like, get out of here. We don't give a about you. I'm taking him. You're gonna walk away, and I love how they walk to the side. And then he Zach yells and throws their keys into the water, which is another thing. Just push the story.
No, I'm glad you said that. That is the hardest I laughed in the movie when he throws the keys and he just starts doing that little dance. I was laughing. I almost embarrassed myself at laughing, like in an embarrassing kind of loud way, because something about that dance was great.
Yeah.
I think. Well, you mentioned emotional, like the conversation between them, and how kind of emotional that was. For me, when I really started getting kind of emotional was when Tyler and Zach are on the raft that they built, and you have another flashback, another memory that Tyler is thinking about with his brother, and then Zach kind of just like puts his arm around him.
Oh yeah.
Him, like, I want to give you all my birthday wishes, and that was
a good moment. I'll add some emotion because eventually we're gonna talk about this. Might as well now. There's only like a handful of movies that I've teared up, cried. So I started to tear up, and trying to hold it back was when they finally show up to Saltwater or whatever his name is, and he's not a wrestler anymore, and great acting again by Shia, because he gets his voice shaky because he's kind of sad. I'm gonna have to go. I have to go break his heart but like you said, it's a movie. In reality, like, hey, can you do this? Like what eventually happens, but I'm like, because I live vicariously through people a lot. People I'm close to, their success, I feel it for them. And watching movies, I get real emotional. Like I can feel like in Avengers, you're like, oh, I'm so pumped. Like I'm like, you're in it,
Yeah.
Like that's big moments. So I don't know if there's deep seated issues I got, but I was getting really emotional, putting myself in like thinking about what Zach will go through when Shia's character has to tell him like, hey, he's not here, So I was getting emotional. But what tipped me way over the edge, when I started laughing too, was because I knew what was happening. But when the guy in his car does the wheelies and stuff and comes in and then when he comes in and Zach sees him and is so happy, like. The floodgates opened, like that was so emotionally amazing, like because you just feel like he's so happy, like oh he's real, like that just pushed me over the edge. Like both scenes were amazing. One started the wheel going, and another one pushed me over, man.
I 100% agree. I think that was the scene where I'd gotten a little, I found myself getting emotional, a couple parts, the part on the beach and everything. But when Saltwater Redneck shows up and he sees him, and you know what line really got me for some reason? When he says, "Can my family come?"
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
me and Christy were she literally looked over at me because I was on one side of the couch and I knew she was crying. I could hear it. And she looked over at me and she's like, Matt. And she looked over at me and she's like, I knew it. You're crying too. And she like went over and I was like really embarrassed. I was like, but yeah, when he said, could my family come in the car too? Oh, the dam broke. You know,
Oh my
it
God.
started going. I was trying to, I was trying to shove them back into my eyes, like I'm a man,
Well,
and it just started.
Well, that's what I was doing with the first scene because I was really emotional, like more emotional than I was saying, like or portraying
Yeah.
for that first scene, like because that's heartbreaking. One scene's heartbreaking.
Yeah, you're
one
right.
one scene is like happiness and joy. Like there's two different emotions, right?
I think that's why it's
You know?
genius because you are really heartbroken when they get to Clinton and Shia's acting there when he's like,
Yeah.
and this is how you actually know he is a good guy because he's like, I don't mean to bring my shit to you. It felt so real. It felt so like such a real situation. And yeah, I think that the positioning of it where it's like you have this heartbreaking scene and then him showing up in the classic saltwater redneck gear. I mean, man, that did get me. That was good.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit about.
No comment. Okay.
No,
You cold-hearted bastard.
no, that was one of the other scenes too that made me emotional as well. But
Thanks.
I was going to say that I think this movie is probably the best movie that I've seen as far as
Family.
Well, sure, family, but I like how in kind of subtle, maybe not so subtle ways, it kind of calls out kind of the disrespect that is levied towards Down syndrome people, and I think it does. It shows it in a really, really good, really insightful way, in my opinion. Like I really like the conversation. Too. I like the conversation between Shia and Dakota Johnson, where basically, she kind of babies him, and
Yes.
I love how, because she was saying, I think she told him, or she was asking if he like used the R slur or something. I can't remember, but they were kind of talking about the R slur, and he was basically saying, well, the way you treat him.
Wait.
Well, yeah, I'm
Wait,
like with you, Matt.
The R word? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It sounded like you were saying R word.
R word. Yeah.
Sorry. I meant slur, but R word. Anyway.
Oh, R slur is what you're saying. Okay, sorry. I thought you were saying arse word. And I was like, what are you from England? Why are you saying arse? Okay, sorry. The R word. No, I 100% keep going because I see where you're going. I 100% agree.
Yeah. Sorry, I need to enunciate my words better. Anyway, I think the way he called out the fact that even though she doesn't use the word, but she still has like the same attitude.
Yeah.
I think was so awesome. Like, because I don't know. To me, it's not just about the word; it's also the way you treat people.
Yeah, 100.
How you talk? Like you talking to? Because he said you're talking to him like a child, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, and
that scene was amazing. Like it was funny and
really
serious.
Funny too. That was great. Yeah.
Like, hey, let's see how long you can hold your breath. And they start arguing, and then Steve goes with it.
Yeah.
Yes, he doesn't.
No, that was great. I don't want to get too into talking about the maybe our the dynamics of the R word and all of that. But as far as the movie, I think you're so right. There's a lot of movies that tackle this kind of subject. And sometimes it's in a very shallow way, which is like, don't use that word. Like, you shouldn't use that word. That's kind of usually the point. I mean, there's an episode of a show Christy was watching where that was kind of the whole point. Is like, somebody called my son the R word, and that's really bad. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. You shouldn't say that to someone. Like in that regard, that's bad. But the way they talked about it, where he made, Shia's point there was so clear. Like, even though I think his character was maybe going a little overboard, like, hey, have a shotgun, you know what I mean? But that's the whole point, is like, he was saying like, what's the difference between, hey, I'm going to call you this word so that you feel different, and what's the point of treating you different or calling you this word as if you're different? I did think that was a really like great way to handle that situation, and they did like Trey said, it's like the fact that they did have this serious conversation wrapped in a funny scenario where they're having him hold his head under the water, and then he catches a fish.
Yeah,
That was hilarious.
that was shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. Oh, and Shia just Tyler just starts like bashing it on it, trying to kill it. That was awesome.
Yeah. Good job, man.
No,
I mean,
go ahead, Trey.
no, I was just gonna say that I think growing up, I think we've all said, like,
Yeah.
like
I
not
said it
even
last week.
not even towards people, just like that's retarded.
Yeah.
Like just like the gay, like saying gay, that's gay.
Yeah. It's just part.
it's-
So common. Yeah.
And then over the years, it's slowly changed, and then as you guys saying the R word, and I for some reason I thought they kind of went overboard with it. Not necessarily the beginning. I wrote one thing down as a positive, and I know maybe you guys don't want to jump into it now, but think about this later. I wrote down, I was so excited. I almost jumped out of my seat. I said, Jake the Snake! I was so excited. And then 20 minutes later, he's a asshole.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I forgot about that.
But he said it several, like they could have had him say it once. He said, I think 3 or 4 times. I'm like, that's overboard. Like, what's going on? Why? He's buddies with the wrestling guy. And then Mankind, whoo, but even better double whammy
McFoley,
there.
Yeah.
And even McFoley and Salt first said, "Hey man, knock it off," and then what's his face like, "Hey man, come on, it's a kid or whatever." Like,
Yeah.
I thought
they really
him saying it once was fine, but him saying it 3 or 4 times.
they shouldn't have let
you're beating us to the head.
They shouldn't have let Jake the Snake improv that day. I think they could have cut that. But no, just kidding.
The issue is Jake the Snake is actually one of the nicest human beings on the planet.
I by the way, I would
is.
also recommend anybody. It's one of my favorite documentaries. The Resurrection of Jake the Snake is one of the best documentaries. I love that documentary. But no, I did the same thing though. When I was like, I kind of looked, I saw the mustache, and I'm like, and then Christy even was like, "What?" Because I went like this. And she was like, "What do you look?" I was looking. I was like looking at the screen. She's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, "I might be crazy, but that looks like a wrestler." I was like, "I think that's Jake the Snake Roberts." And I look, and then when the ref showed up, I was like, "Is that McFoley?" Because he looked sleeker than he usually does. Is that just me? Did he look skinnier than usual?
Lost weight.
Okay, I haven't seen him in a little while, so I was like, that looks like him, and I Googled it, and I had the same reaction. I went and scrolled through, and I saw McFoley and Jake the Snake Roberts. I was like, Jake the Snake, I knew it. I got like way too excited. It was just cool. Such a small wrestling scene, and they got 2 legends.
Big names.
I mean, that was awesome.
I mean, Jake the Snake was one of the greatest heels in wrestling history, so
he's
going
the
back
in the movie, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say earlier. I had that in my head to say I'm gonna be the heel of this episode. My bad, boys. But I was with you. I'm with you, Matt. I saw. I wasn't like you squinting at him. Like I saw the big guy in the background, but I didn't think anything of it. But when they kind of went to him and he said something, once he said something like "Jake the Snake," because him on Joe Rogan. I've seen it twice.
Oh,
that's a great Joe
episode.
Rogan one.
Yeah, that's such a good one.
So I knew right away. I'm like,
guy.
Jake the Snake. Oh yeah, what an interesting guy. My goodness, and yeah. Oh yeah. So if we're gonna talk about that scene when Zach is watching them and there's blood on all the wrestlers in the match and they get hit, he's like he's so shocked and scared. Like I said, he's scared, and then and he said, "Don't be scared or whatever. I'm scared." I'm like, that was a great moment to show how much fear was instilled on him watching what was actually happening in the ring. That was cool.
Yeah. I want to get into this ending while we're at it. The one of the only things in the movie that I was like, that's a little, the atomic throw.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah.
it's a great scene, but I actually think they could have filmed it. To me it's fine. He throws him. Okay, fine. But even the way they
disbelief, Sterling.
Yeah, but even the way they filmed it looked kind of cheesy. The atomic throw was the movie felt real. I mean, you could say plot-wise and stuff, there's issues. But as far as the way the cinematography and the way things played out, it was very real, the acting and everything. The atomic throw is the only part in the movie where, I mean, it looked like the guy was like it looked like Jake the Snake had, you know, he had some wires on him or something. I mean, not that it looked, I mean, he obviously did. That's what I mean. I'm not saying I saw wires, but it was like that was the only moment where like they could have filmed it to where it looked real and he threw him. I didn't get why they filmed it as if it looked really weird, like he threw him like, you know, like he's Superman or something. Not a big deal. It's not a big deal to me, but it was, I was like, that was the one scene to me that I was like, that just looked different than any other thing in the movie.
Sterling, you're up.
But it was heartwarming.
Defend it.
It was heartwarming, so.
I'm not going to defend how it looked because it didn't look good. But again, just like with any of the other conveniences or plot holes, the tone of the movie, the message of the movie, the acting, the relationships, it got me through all of it. So that's how.
Well, I do. Okay, I do like that he did that move because 10 minutes earlier or 20 minutes earlier he's talking to Snake or what Saltwater, you know, whatever. He's like, hey, what movies do you want to learn? And he's like, oh, the atomic throw or whatever. He's like, oh, that's fake. We had a cameraman and they had wires on him. It's all called camera work. I'm sorry, man. What else do you want to learn? Like, and maybe that's why they did the scene that way.
Now that you said that, that's kind of genius. Now that you said that, maybe they did it
full circle
as a, you know, maybe they did it like, hey, he can do this move, and the way they do the move is the same way they would have done it on that videotape that he watched. That's a good point. That you ended up defending it yourself, you son of a bitch.
I know it comes from, like I said, it comes full circle. Yeah, but it doesn't. But the whole crowd's like, oh, you know, whatever.
All right, well,
go on.
I want to know what you guys think of the ending. I'm going to tell you real quick. I thought that they come up with the tire iron and the screen blacks out. My thought in the movie was, and maybe it would have been too predictable, I thought that the real Peanut Butter Falcon moment would have not been not him throwing Jake the Snake. I thought the real Peanut Butter Falcon would have been him defending Tyler and beating up these two guys. That's what I thought might have happened. Now, the tire iron thing happens. It goes black. I'll just say this. I thought that the whole scene was really quick. I mean, if you got up to put some butter on your popcorn, you would have been like, what the hell? The credits are rolling. I mean, it was a really quick ending, and unless maybe it wasn't, maybe that was my perception, but I thought that they could have had something in the hospital. Like, here's, I like to say, here's how I would have done it because I'm a pretentious son of a bitch. But in the hospital, maybe you could have done something like, he's waiting there. He has his birthday wish. They kind of imply something like he wishes for his birthday that he comes. It was all really too quick. They should have put a couple more minutes there. And it would have, maybe they could have done something where he's like passed out in the hospital bed or something, and he's like, Zach's there, and then I was gonna say all of a sudden his hand comes up and they do the secret handshake. He wakes up and does it or something like that. But all that aside, not that I could have done it better, but I'm saying I think they could have, maybe they had to cut some time in the movie, but they could have allocated some time to that scene a little bit. Other than that, other than it moving a little quick, I thought the Florida thing was great. I like the little misdirection where it looks like it's just them, and then he pats in the backseat. He wakes up, his eyes all fucked up. It was nice. It ended nice. It ended fine. So, what did you guys think?
I mean, so I think when he's doing the atomic throw, and it's all slow motion, and she's screaming, right? It's not that loud of an area. So someone's going to turn, Shai's going to turn, like, what's going on, and be able to try to defend himself. I thought the big moment was going to happen where he throws Jake the Snake into those two.
That's what Christy said. Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
That would have been perfect. Like, if you, so I didn't like that. Like you said, they hit him with tire iron. Dumb. Like they should have had that hero moment for Zach. They
Yeah.
didn't need to have a cheesy pretend like she's trying, like he's dead, and do the wish. Which would have been better if they would have done the wish and him all messed up with bandages on his face, going back to him looking at his candles, going back to him with his eyes closed, all messed up in
Yeah.
the bed, and then he goes and it goes black. And the next scene, they could have done their handshake. Yeah, ending could have been way better. It could have been worse because he could have been dead, and I was gonna be pissed and completely ragdoll this movie in front of you two jabronis. But they kind of savored it a little bit with him surviving, and it's cheesy. But and what? Yeah, abrupt end. What is important about Florida? Did I miss something? Like I miss a lot apparently. Like why is Florida important?
I believe Tyler, he's trying to start his own crab business somewhere. I forget which.
He said there was no he said he knew someone there, right? Who had a job or something, like he was gonna there was plenty of space for him to do it or something. There's one scene.
He had a connection.
Okay. Whatever. Crappy ending, man. Whatever.
Well, Sterling, what do you
the hero
think?
lives. The hero lives. Zach lives. That's good. That's the good thing.
I mean, it's an abrupt ending. I don't disagree with that. But I don't think it's a crappy ending. I think
A crab P ending?
Crabby. Yes, that
Crabby.
Yeah, it's a crabby ending. No, I think I just think it's kind of short and sweet, and I think it kind of just, I don't know, it tied up all the loose ends that I could think of from what the story was showing. So that's kind of how I took it.
So, I mean, man, we've already hit about an hour, but I want to get into, maybe nitpicks or whatever. And any other details anyone wants to mention at the end. I do want to say this. I just remembered there's emotional moments. I want to say the reason I think that scene when he says that Tyler's a good guy, the reason why this movie I think works so well and why I like the dynamic between Zach and Tyler. Tyler, his brother dies. He's this very closed off character, obviously. You can tell that he's kind of an asshole. He can't be an asshole like he would be to any other person. Like, he can't be an asshole to Zach because he has Down syndrome. And that's why it works. He feels bad enough for him where he's like, crap, I can't be a complete asshole to this guy. But also the fact that he is an asshole, he ends up accepting and treating Zach like a normal person, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
He can't leave him. I thought the reason that whole dynamic, the way they did that, it worked really well. And I want to say, there's lots of movies that will use certain, I don't want to make any large accusations here, but there are movies who would use something like this, like have a character who has Down syndrome, and now you can't criticize the movie because you have a character. And a lot, people will do this thing where it's like, well, now immediately we get points for that. This movie, the fact that the character has Down syndrome it works perfectly. It makes sense in the script. Like, everything makes sense. And I felt like it wasn't a gimmick at all. And that was great. Like, they didn't use this guy's mental, they didn't use that as a crutch in any way. Like, the movie, it works really well. So I was going to say that off the bat because I was a little worried about that watching. I'm like, is this going to be one of those movies where they do something like that? I want to say a couple of other positive things. The music in this movie I thought was great. Mostly because I love banjos, and almost every song in this movie, including the score, had banjos. Great. I thought a lot of the songs were great and fit perfectly. And the scene where they are dancing and messing around by the campfire, and they're drinking the moonshine or whatever. The music combined with the visuals and the story that's being told and everything, that I got completely sucked in on that moment where I was like, this is filmmaking. Like, I know I sound pretentious, but this was this moment where I was like, it just got me. Like, every part of it, I was like, this is great. Like, what I'm watching, I really love. So that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. The way they used the music was great in that. And, that was a lot of positive things. Trey pretty much already went through the nitpick list. Let's be real. But where did he get a watermelon? Was that in his backpack? Where did that watermelon come from?
That's easy. It was just probably in a field.
All of a sudden, they just have a watermelon. And I'm like, that's a big watermelon. What the hell?
Come on, man. That's what you nitpick? It was probably in some watermelon field they walked by on their journey.
Field?
Yeah, that's what they grow.
I know they grow them. But okay, but I'm telling you, you saying they probably walked by a watermelon field is exactly the same as Sterling saying, well, they just followed their tracks or whatever, you know?
No, it's not. They don't have to show the field of them stealing the watermelon for you, do they?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah, they don't have to show, her finding anal beads, and discovering them.
You agree with me?
You're right.
Are you kidding me?
I agree with you. I'm joking with you a little bit. Yeah,
it's a nitpick.
It's a nitpick.
Yeah, I get it.
And by the way, I loved it when they put when they put the watermelon helmets. It was great. Every moment in this movie that I could nitpick, it ended up turning into a big smile. Like I ended up smiling through this movie. I loved it.
So real quick, Matt.
Yeah.
Real quick. So Amanda. All right. So I think I said that. I'm like, where'd the watermelon come from? And Amanda's like, yeah, it's probably. They need. Oh, here's what she said. I said, where'd the watermelon come from? And she says, they need to eat. I'm like, are you right?
Yeah. You can't argue with that. That's great.
Yep.
The only other thing, honestly,
all they had was peanut butter. So
yeah, that's literally all they ate. I don't know what the span of time was, but the only other real thing I had, it's not really a nitpick, but I thought that he only had one scene, but the boss, the guy who ran the old people's home, I thought he was a little over the top. He could have been a little bit more subdued. I thought his character, I don't even remember now because it was one scene in the movie, but I just wrote down boss is over the top because I was like, I don't know. I felt like he was trying too hard to play like a character. But it wasn't a big deal. He had one scene in the movie. And I'll leave you with one question. What time period did this movie take place in?
2007.
That's a specific. How did you know that? Well, she had a. It's just that I was like, are there cell phones? What's going on? She had a flip phone, but it was hard. I was like, it could have been modern day. It could have been in the 90s. It's like,
Sterling.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna guess it's a modern movie, but I don't know. There are still people that use flip phones, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of timeless.
They have a touchscreen on them now. Samsung just came out with them, and the Razr came back with the touchscreen. Yeah,
I just love that Razr.
It's not a Nokia. It's not a Nokia. It's real. It's 2021, baby. We got real shit now. Sterling, if you want to continue on, I can start the conclusion, and I'll be first because I was the heel of the episode. Do you want to add anything else?
Anything else before we do the conclusions?
I mean, I guess one nitpick that I have besides the bad.
It doesn't matter what you think.
They had to eat.
Yeah, but probably the only thing I could think of is he didn't really have to leave his clothes at the beginning. The guy could have just passed his clothes through the.
That's true. That's a nitpick. I love it.
That's a great
nitpick of the week.
That's nitpick of the week for sure. Matt's nitpick. Listen, Sterling's nitpicks. That's great.
That's so true. Why did he go to bed and already hit the snooze button?
Yeah.
Although the imagery of him running down the street in his underwear was hilarious.
I'll take that image over logic. So. But,
okay.
Yeah. But that's I mean, as far as nitpicks, that's all I have really. So.
That was a great nitpick. Okay. As the current heel of the show right now, I will say I had a lot of positives. I mean, come on. Like, some great emotional moments, as we talked about. Shia LaBeouf's acting was incredible through most of it. I mean, at the beginning, to me, it was a little shaky, but when they first have their first conversation, but hey, these are the rules, and he tells them about why he is the way he is, and hey, you got something going on. Great acting. The best scene in the movie, obviously, the back-to-back scenes, meeting the wrestler who doesn't wrestle anymore, and then him come saving the day by becoming the wrestler again. So probably one of the most emotional scenes or back-to-back scenes I've seen in years. I will say, really tugged at the heartstrings. Um, but I think most of my problems were the first two acts, and then that was the beginning. I think those scenes were at the beginning of the third act, and from there on it was mostly sunshine and daisies because some very good moments, some good acting. Like I said, like I didn't think the ending was all that great. Could have been worse, like I said. But overall, good movie. I would recommend it, and not just because of the matter at hand that they talk about, but it has a good story, it has good characters, and they did well with it all. So I enjoyed it.
I guess I can go second here. I that was a great summary, by the way. But I think we've watched a lot of movies on this Film Schmucks journey. Definitely that moment, because there's sad things in movies that can get me a little emotional, but happy moments in movies, those kind of great, like something's coming together moments, those are the moments that get me. We've been doing this now for about 3 months, something like that. This is episode 12, I think. And that was that moment, I just didn't expect. I thought this would be a heartwarming, fun movie. But yeah, as far as like, the tear ducts working overtime, that scene definitely hit me more than any other movie we've seen, I think. And so, this movie, the trailer looked charming and fun, and the movie was, so I was like, you know what, I think this is going to be a fun movie, and it ended up being better than I thought. I'm like, not only is it fun, I did get emotionally invested in the characters. I had a great time. I think the acting, I mean, is great, and not just Shia's character, but Zach. I mean, I'm not sure what the actor's last name is, but that guy was a great actor. Like, it was, those scenes were great, and yeah, a lot of surprises along the way that I thought that I didn't expect. Like, I didn't know it was he wanted to be a wrestler. I didn't expect there to be a little wrestling match at the end or anything. That was all pretty cool. And those little cameos, Jake the Snake and McFoley, like, that was awesome. The adventure was just fun. I mean, I was on board, and that's what I thought was cool about this movie. I'm usually very slow before I kind of accept a movie or be like, okay, I'm into this. It's 2 weeks later, I'm still, accepting Parasite. So this movie, from the tip top, as soon as he oiled his way out of that window, I was like, I'm on Team Zach. I'm like, I like this movie. So wherever it went after that, I felt like I was on board, and it didn't disappoint me, because I think I could have set me up to be disappointed. I could have been like, man, this movie had such a great start and it ended so crappy. It's like, the ending was a little quick, if I had to be, judge it in some way. But other than that, it was like, nah, the movie was just a fun thing through and through, had emotional moments. It was just fun to watch. And so I definitely would recommend it to anyone who just wants to have like a good, heartwarming, fun time.
Well, I don't know if there's anything much for me to say on top of that, but I think for me, this movie, it's not one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's just such a well done, just again, heartwarming, touching, whatever adjective you want to use. It just does a really good job showing how to respect people in the condition that Zach is in. It's definitely the best that I've seen it, and I think it doesn't treat his condition like a prop or a crutch. It just kind of shows that people like Zach, they're just people, and it's not even just the words you say, it's also the way you treat them. That could be the same thing as saying a bad word. And I think the relationships, especially between Tyler and Zach, is just really beautifully done. The cinematography is really good. I think the writing is really good for the most part, especially just those conversations between Tyler and Zach in the beach, um, and the conversation between Eleanor and Tyler, and just so many moments, not just of sadness, but really good emotional joy as well. And I definitely think, um, I definitely think anyone, I mean, not kids because it's rated R, but I think anybody within the age range of 13 to 75 can enjoy this movie. And I think it says a lot of really important things. And yeah, I think it's a very pleasant film to watch.
Sterling, I think you hit the nail on the head. This movie is definitely better than The Ringer. So
I'm glad you said that. I'm actually going to work on doing the Ringer review on the channel soon. I'm not kidding. Me and Christy watched it. Yeah, recently because I watched that a lot as a kid. So keep your eyes out for that. I do want to say another thing real quick. What are we watching next week? It's Justice League, right? The reason I wanted to do that was I wanted to say the Snyder cut of the Justice League, which I've never seen the Justice League at all. That's what we're reviewing next week. So any subscribers that are watching this, watch it, because then next time when we have the review, you'd have watched it too. This is a community. We want people to comment. What did you think of the movie? You can say, what do you disagree? What do you agree on? What's your defense? Can you defend these things that Trey's attacking? Can you, back up what Sterling's saying? Is this a actual prequel to 50 Shades of Grey? Like, let us know in the comments. Once again, shout out to our early subscribers. We really appreciate you guys. Nostalgia is real. You did say I was whack, but we appreciate you as a subscriber. Trey, do you want to send us off?
Sorry, I just wanted to say one thing. Maybe next movie, all three of us will have different opinions, and we'll all intensely argue with each other at the same time. So
I can't wait.
We'll see.
Yeah, this week was my week, boys, and I want you to do this right now. Like, subscribe, comment below. I mean, come on, there's a lot of drama going on around here, like last week and this week. But next week, we are gonna go to the dark side, and I cannot wait. See you then, boys and girls.
With your best friends, Trey, Sterling, and Matt, the film Schmucks.